Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. My name is Trey.
I'm Ryan.
Is that the first time I haven't messed it up?
I think you were really close last week. I know, really close.
It's only taken 5 weeks, but I finally got it down.
Practice makes perfect, sir.
Yeah. So last week we talked about a bunch of stuff, including role play.
Yes.
This week we're going to look into a little bit of classes and races, specifically races, and then things that come from that. But did you have any corrections or anything like that you wanted to tackle first?
No, I don't think so. I do want to appreciate, I believe, Band for the comment. Really good information in there.
Mm-hmm.
And just thank you. Because there's going to be stuff that we miss and different ways to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And, do some good with the comment section. That's always a good thing. That's
It's really
awesome.
cool, too, to me to see, because neither of us are power gamers, right? We
Yes.
don't try to min-max.
Exactly.
And I wanted to make sure last week when we talked about it that we didn't come off as if we were condemning that.
Right.
And I don't think that we did, but it was really interesting to see Band's perspective because Band very much is a power gamer, a
Yes.
min-maxer.
Yeah.
Trying to get the best that they can. And I think it's really cool to see. I feel like most of the time, you and I both have ran into when you try to talk to a power gamer or a min-maxer about how they play the game, they get defensive. And it becomes a condemnation.
Well, it comes to a couple of things. Because I've had a min-max or power gamer. It's like, well, if I minimize this, and then I've got
right.
It's gonna give you a general idea what we're talking about. We're gonna put so I can put everything into this.
Mm-hmm.
And be the best at this. Here's the thing on the other side of that, and make fun of it. May talk about different styles of gameplay and strengths and weaknesses each one. Once again, though. If the player's good, then that's going to be part of the character, and it works.
Absolutely.
It's when the player has done that and does not fit the style of what this character is.
Yes.
And the only reason they have that is because they can do the most damage with it.
Right.
There's the only reason you're taking one level of
wizard is to get fireball.
Your fireball,
right.
or Eldritch Blast.
Yeah.
Something like that. And
man, the one level dip into wizard and then taking what's the initiate, the feat, magic initiate.
Yes.
On your fighter just so you can get fireball. It's like, oh, come on, man. We all know what you're doing. You don't try to cover that up.
Yeah. I know it's weird to me. Of course, I always thought my problem is I'll think of, like, I had a fighter one time that would, I guess in his storyline he could have ended up because I dual classed.
Yeah.
This was look. I did this in the second edition. This was not easy. Okay, but all I wanted was burning hands.
Yeah.
Because I thought that's just a cool image.
Right.
You're in a fight and just blast out the burning hands. Yeah. Anyway, we love this game. We do. And we love the people that play it, I promise.
We do. I think it's really interesting when you get all the different perspectives. So thanks again, Band, for yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you have a perspective you want to share in the comment section down below, please don't be afraid to do so.
Yes. Look, seriously, especially if you run book quests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd really love to see some long comments.
Yeah.
Unironically, would love to see some long comments about people that run books.
Yeah, and yes. That would be awesome because I don't.
Yeah, neither do I.
But we're kind of sticking with this theme because, like I said, we love this game and we want people to play it. Yep. And it's an amazing time to be able to get into it because there's so much you can get free.
Right.
And I've kind of made this promise to myself, and we may have even mentioned it. That's kind of what we're going to stick to.
Yeah.
On this, at least for the first part of the show. And so last week we did talk about. We kind of showed like 3 different styles of role playing. And ways you can handle it, and like I said, you probably won't ever stick to one on that. But this week is a little more, I guess, a little more fundamental.
Yeah.
About what you're getting and what you're looking at. I'm not 100% sure. We'll start with the races. Yes.
Right.
We're going to just go through them in the order they have them in here.
Yeah, in the Essentials book.
Yeah.
Which you can also get on D&D Beyond. For free, I believe you can get the book.
Yeah, well, the Essentials kit, if I understand this correctly, and I've double-checked quite a few things in here, not everything, so I hope I'm not lying, but as far as the spells races and classes go, this is what you should get in the basic. So the basic rules. This is what you should get with the free set.
Right.
When you sign up with the basic of that.
And I know for a fact that this book is up as a PDF.
Okay.
That you can find that. So
yes.
This is part of the free resources that you can get through D&D.
Yes, I just happen to have the box set here with it in here, so I can have the book in front of me.
Yeah, so that you can show off to me that you have it.
Yes. Actually, this one's not mine. It belongs to my girlfriend.
That's very true. That's very true.
That's that.
If she listens to this and you don't say that, we're both going to be in trouble. So,
well, one, you would think that she would listen to me in any circumstance.
I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah. No, she she picked this up. I think she picked this up. It came out at Target.
She's also a DM. We should specify.
Oh yes. She is. She plays in 2 of my campaigns, and then DMs on off weeks. On that. Now she does. She's ran a couple. This is like her second time trying to do the book quest. We're doing the Mines of Phandelver, and which I know you have lots of feelings.
I do. I feel very strongly about Phandelver.
Very. Yes, I understand.
We'll talk about it at some point.
Well, but she's kind of taking that, and because it's me and her dad, she's running the campaign, so it's 2 players,
right?
Through that, so she's kind of taking it and fitted. It's balanced out. She went full book, first fight straight book. And yeah, we were backing up.
Yeah, because that's made for a 5-player team, isn't it?
Yeah, we were backing up. We were a ranger and a light cleric.
Ooh, yeah, no, I bet you were.
Yeah, and we actually survived barely. So,
man,
but go back to the what we're actually supposed to be talking about.
Right? Yeah, I know you just want to talk about how great your girlfriend is. I understand.
All right. So listen first.
Right.
I'm just gonna call this off, and then you give me some thoughts on it. So listen first is Dwarf.
Okay.
Just give me some thoughts on Dwarf.
It's weird. Dwarf is first and not human, but maybe we're going alphabetical.
Which is weird that they don't in the anyway. Another discussion.
I think that Dwarf is a good starting race, right?
Okay.
I think from that book, because I looked over it as well, my biggest issue is that they focus on only 2 types of dwarves. They focus on clans of dwarves that focus on history, and they focus on dwarves that are just trying to make a bunch of money, that care about treasure.
The hill dwarf and the mountain dwarf.
Right, literally.
Yeah.
And I feel like for an essentials kit, maybe we could have been a little bit more broad, given a couple more options. But I get that it's the bare minimum. Dwarf is a really solid race, good for a lot of different classes, good for a lot of different RP, a lot of good racial bonuses.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So so to the given here, you talk about the racial bonuses, right? So your hill dwarf gets a wisdom increase, and your mountain dwarf gets a strength increase,
right?
1 and 2 respectively. Through that, I'm kind of wondering. Well, okay, where would you have gone kind of more generic with that, or like maybe take those out and just give a generic dwarf score, or do you add because there's not much. This is free,
right?
And you do get a little bit of history. And look, the dwarf in D&D is describing this is pretty. This dwarf,
right. Yeah.
Gimli is this dwarf. And there's many other examples of that. I mean, Dragonlance has got its version.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But okay, we're talking about the hill dwarf, mountain dwarf, under dwarf. That's 2 options there. Like I said, you want to go generic with that, or you think they should give more different ideals?
Free, I feel like it's too much to ask for a bunch of extra stuff,
Right.
So instead, I guess maybe just more generic, even though that's like having the options more readily laid out like that is definitely better. But I would have preferred just, hey, here's a brief rundown of 5 different options you can run a dwarf.
Okay.
As compared to here's 2, not strict, but here's 2 rigid options,
Okay.
I feel like, especially for new players, something like this is going to tell them, Oh, well, that's what dwarves are. Where you could have instead gone,
True.
well, dwarves can
Okay.
be all of these things, you know?
Or maybe, yeah. Maybe 'cause the dwarf more people are kind of probably the mountain dwarf.
Yeah, I was
right?
going to say that's hypocritical of me because in my campaigns, dwarves are always mountain
Right.
dwarves.
So maybe instead of giving the other kind of baseline of the hill dwarf, they give you something different.
River dwarf. You know, something that just like completely
Just different.
weird,
I got you. I'll do that.
to make people go, oh, I can play around with options here, you know?
On the other side of that, because we're talking about playing free, you can almost not even use that because as a dwarf, you get your Constitution score increased by 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have where you can kind of go with it from there.
Yeah.
So while it's cool, you get stuff from that dwarven armor training, dwarven toughness.
Yeah.
What
Dark
you do.
vision.
Yeah. Well, no, you get that for being a dwarf.
Yeah,
right.
That's true. Yeah.
Just so that's there. So I mean, you'd be giving up a little bit.
Right.
But as far as basic D&D, I don't even think you really need to use those two.
Right.
You can, and you definitely don't have to call it a hill dwarf and a mountain dwarf if
Right.
you want to use those stats.
Yeah.
It can just be dwarf.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you can say, okay, well, you know, it could be the same race of dwarf and say, hey, okay, what are you? Are you like a cleric?
Right.
Well, then we'd use a hill dwarf.
Yeah.
You know, are you one of the warriors? We're going to use the mountain dwarf stats
Right.
to do that. But it's definitely something you expect to see
Yeah.
in a fantasy campaign.
Yeah. I will say, too, from a new player perspective, Dwarf is a great starting class. Or race. I say class because
Yep.
first edition.
Yes.
Dwarf is a great starting race. They're very hardy. They're very tough.
Yes.
You get a lot of RP to be able to play around with. You automatically have easy access to a lot of different weapon types. The only real kicker, which again, it's not that case now, but back in the day, would have been if you wanted to play a mage.
Yeah.
Dwarf wasn't the go-to. Now dwarves can be mages too. Why
Well,
not?
anything. We'll talk about classes in a little bit, but
Right.
you can be anything.
But like, there was a time when a dwarf bard would have been like really weird to see.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But would have been fun.
True. and it's kind of weird to throw back just the enjoyment of the openness of D&D 5e.
Yeah, absolutely.
As much as love and nostalgia as I have for second edition.
Yeah.
You know, I love the fact that clerics can't use sharp weapons.
Yeah.
You know, at least life clerics. You know, I like the
grave domain clerics.
Yeah.
Get those scythes in there.
Yeah. You know, and stuff, but there is an openness to this.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, you know, it says hill dwarf and mountain dwarf here and kind of gives a generic, yes, these are the dwarves. Is Gimli from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
You know, which goes back Norse mythology before that.
Claim the weapon of your forefathers.
Yeah. And yeah, just nice. So you know what to do. But as you said, you know, you might be a bargeman.
Yeah.
You might be worker on the river.
Yeah.
You may be a miner.
A barrel dwarf, you know?
Yeah. As far as that goes, you know, you get your size, you know, but gotta keep that around. So, but other than that, you can pretty much go anywhere with it. Of course, it's going to be the same way with any of these races we talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you could also take it another tack too and go like city dwarf, right? Like this is a trader. This is
Absolutely.
a guy
Merchant trader. Yeah,
he loves gold because that's a thing they weigh heavy on in this book. They love gold, but he doesn't love to keep it. He loves to see it move. He loves to see how much he can utilize it.
And then just look at your DM's face when you try to invent the stock market.
Yep.
In his no. No.
If you're just buying a little bit of this, then I'll return an investment on you.
Yeah. Yes. I will loan you this gold. You'll have to pay me 10% back each month.
It sounds like a good deal to me, sonny.
All right. Well, now that we've completely ruined dwarves for everybody.
Yep.
The next one in this edition is elf.
Okay. Elves. I think elves are the race that people misunderstand the most.
Yeah, that's arguable.
I think that like to me, an elf is one of the best options. Again, I know I'm just repeating what I said with dwarf, but it's one of the best options for a new player because elves are quick. Elves are powerful. Elves are long-lived, giving you a lot of options for RP. High elves are magical, which I think it uses high elves and wood elves in the book.
Yes. Yeah.
High elves are more magically inclined. Wood elves, of course, being your go-to ranger or ranged fighter,
Yeah.
or rogues for some people. It Elves are so close to being like the perfect starter race, right?
Yeah. I think Dwarf beats them out though.
Yeah, I agree.
Because like, because anybody can sit at a table being grumpy and have fun with it.
Yeah.
On the RP side of it, I definitely have to agree with your statement that Elves most misunderstood.
Yeah.
And like for a lot of people, they're especially when they're thinking of a fantasy setting.
Mm-hmm.
This, I mean, Lord of the Rings is going to come to mind. I mean,
Yeah,
just,
the wood elves of Lothlorien.
Yeah, you have the difference. So I will kind of revert to that when we're talking about how they're presented to us.
Right.
In this, the wood elves will be, Legolas was a wood elf.
Yeah.
Galadriel was a high elf.
Yes.
There's the difference there. But then again, it says high elf and wood elf, but no, you could have elf.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, are you a magic using elf or are you a fighting warrior elf?
Absolutely.
That's basically how it balances out. And you can get a little closer to the microphone here. I'll probably disappear. You can take that as you want to.
Yeah.
Over that. It's that open.
Yeah. And it feels like the book's not trying to be rigid, but in saying, hey, here's your two,
yes,
it feels rigid in a way that it's not meant to be.
Yeah.
And again, it's just because it's the free options, right?
Well, but we've talked about this before, right quick. This is Forgotten Realms.
Right. Absolutely.
This is Forgotten Realms. They don't explain that to you.
Yes.
That really bothers me.
I agree.
Probably, maybe it shouldn't.
No, I agree.
But it does.
With you.
This is Forgotten Realms. Your world is not,
Mm-hmm.
If you want to play anyway.
Well, and I feel like you could go so deep into elves because of that's going to get taken out of context because of the sheer long-livedness of elves, which I think the book has it like 700 years, which is not how long my elves live in my universe. They normally live to be 1,000.
Well, like I said, I'm a little Lord of the Rings things are basically immortal unless somebody stabs them hard enough.
When you go into the long-livedness of that, you get, well, what if your elf is not a wood elf or a high elf, but they're like a hill elf, and they live in like the hills, and they're hermits, and they just collect artifacts or antiques.
Right.
You have, what about elves that, before we got Tritons as an option, 3/5 elves that lived underwater.
Yeah, that was second edition. Yeah, you had the aquatic elves.
You're right. Yeah.
Well, in second edition we had the aquatic elves.
Right.
We didn't have Tritons. I don't think. Not as a playable race. I don't remember. We had a binder for the monster manual they were in. Yeah. You didn't buy the monster manual hardback. You bought a binder. It said monster manual on it, and you bought packs.
Pages.
You got some packs of monster packs, some pages you can stick in there.
Oh.
I wish I used to have a bunch of that stuff. It's all gone. All gone. It went to a good cause though, so I'm not regretting it too hard. Well, I was trying to think back through history, the different elves, because we're talking about different ones. And Hellboy, was the second Hellboy with I can't remember the actor's name.
I can't either, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think the elves represented in that the same. That's the same type of elf, kind of the Thor Dark World.
Right, absolutely.
Type of, so you're given two options in there. Yeah. Okay. That's
the Sylvan elves too, the Fey elves, the Eladrin.
Yeah.
It's a whole different culture that your elf can just be an elf from.
Exactly. Yeah, cloud elves.
Yeah.
I'll say that. That's
astral plane elves.
Yes.
That sailed the astral seas as if like fighting the Githzerai.
So even with this, you can still do much, much more than wood elves, and if you like to.
Absolutely.
The next race in here, is the Halfling.
Yeah.
If you don't play D&D, but you know Lord of the Rings, you know them as hobbits.
Yeah.
Basically.
I feel like to be contrary to what I've said on the previous two, I feel like this is actually a pretty good comprehensive run of halflings. Obviously, yes, you could have more, and there are more in previous editions and in 5e. But I feel like the two main focuses they have there of the hobbit versus the sneaky thief,
yes,
is pretty much when you're running a halfling, those are the main options you're going to see.
Right. And there is, once again, because just based off, now I do have a little inside information on others.
Right.
things, they don't have to be your halflings don't have to be sweet in your world.
Right. Absolutely.
They don't have to be, hungry all the time.
Right.
But I do. I read The Hobbit when I was little.
Yeah.
I've got a warm spot in my heart for halflings.
Yes.
Though I don't ever play them.
Yeah, I don't either.
I just like them.
They're very good to play. I don't think they're as strong an option for new players as Elf and Dwarf, but Lucky is such a new player friendly feat that they just have access to right away. That for anybody who doesn't know, Lucky means you get to reroll ones, and halflings get it as a racial trait.
Yes.
So it's just really solid. I do think there's a lot more with halfling that new players have to get used to. You're smaller.
Yes.
That affects your movement a lot.
It does. There's the disadvantage of you don't go as far. The advantage of, even if you're standing there, I can run past.
Right.
And the Lightfoot and Stout was just the names of the two kind of brands of, I don't know a good word for it really, of halfling. Once again, I think you could go. I like that was a good example of it. The wholesome and burglar. Kind of balance.
There's an in between.
On that.
If we could pull from Dragonlance, there's an in between.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a you have a patient DM if you play a Kender. Because if you play a Kender, you need to play it up. You need to play a Kender.
Absolutely. You are a hobbit that steals without even realizing it.
Yes.
Or maybe they do realize it, but they won't admit it if they do.
Kenders are terrible people. Changed my mind.
Oh, I love Kenders so much.
I know. They're pretty cool.
It's the dichotomy of I recognize they're not good, but I love them.
Yeah.
What other halflings would you run?
Oh, man.
I think there's something really cool about the idea of like a halfling mob in like Waterdeep. Hey, everybody thinks they're really strong and really tough.
Yeah.
And they are, but they're all halflings.
Halflings.
And they'll come by and break your knees.
Well, saying they don't have to be sweethearts.
Right.
Just want
they got maces. They come out of the sewers. They bust your kneecaps and they go back in.
They're tired of being petted on the head.
Yeah.
They're done with it. They're taking over.
I think there's something really cool to the idea of like, hey, no, you're a city halfling. You're not a thief.
No.
You're a burglar. You're a robber.
Right. Which this probably get a little more exciting as we get in the classes. We can start going back and see some of the crossover. And last, as the ever-present human.
Yeah.
Now, there's nothing. I have no subclasses, no breakdown, no.
Nope.
No. I will say, they really giving a human a feat at first level.
Yeah.
Is about the only way they could balance it.
Yes.
It used to be there was reasons to be a human.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think there is unless just preferential. Just make it easier on yourself, like me. Yeah. I'm like, say I don't have to. No, I'm good. I want to feed at first level. Yeah. That way I'm special now, and I can just take the ride for the rest of the time.
I guess we should clarify, too, for people that have never played older editions. In older editions, every class had advantages and disadvantages.
Oh, yes.
And human had no disadvantages. They had no advantages.
They had no disadvantages.
But they had no disadvantages, and that was the advantage.
Well, in second edition, for strict rules, elves couldn't be certain things.
Right.
Dwarves couldn't be certain things.
Right.
Human could be anything.
Yep.
There's a difference between dual classing and multi-classing.
Right.
Which one could do, the other couldn't.
Yeah.
I think human could go into anything as wanted to do.
Human can multi-class as much as they wanted.
Yes.
But everything else had a restriction. It could only go for one.
Yeah, dual class.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think, honestly, they're a pretty easy race.
Yeah.
A good starting race for a player.
Mm-hmm.
Because
you already know what a human's like.
Yeah. That's the easiest way to put yourself in your player's shoes.
Absolutely.
And I will say that and if you get to, either add +1 to everything, all your stats, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Across the board, that's 6 points.
I think, too, with human, the thing that really sets human apart for me, and granted, this is, I've been role-playing for many, many years now, but for me, with human, when when you have this world full of creatures that live for impossible lengths of time,
Right.
and then you have just a dude who lives to be 60 at most,
Yeah.
probably.
Right. Yeah.
There's something really interesting about that dynamic of, I don't mean to get too much into philosophy here, but the idea of in our own world, hey, the rocks aren't getting any older, but
Right.
I am. I mean,
Right.
they are, but they don't look like they are, and the dynamic that we have there. But imagine if those rocks were alive and they were walking around as genasi. Well, now I'm going to be a lot more conscious of the fact
Yes.
that I only live for 60 years. I'm going to live it up,
Yeah. I think this is where some literature has really surpassed D&D in making. There's a reason that humans are special.
Yeah. We get to die.
And that it's as silly as it sounds. If to break down to the modern day, they got heart.
Right.
There's speeches about it in the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
In the in different sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Blade Runner deals with the idea of the replicant and the human, and why the human is, and wherever you fall on that is,
Right.
That's, you wanted to get philosophical. All right, hold on. We're back on track.
Yeah.
I'm off on Blade Runner, and anyway.
I do want to say, I think the book could have had a couple options when it comes to cultures for humans that might have helped new players and DMs both. And it doesn't even have to be like analogs to our cultures. It could have been like, because it talks about how humans, when they settle. They're there forever,
Yeah.
It could have been, hey, you could be lowborn, highborn, or you could be from a mercantile
Yes.
like civilization. The
Well-
book kind of leaves it open, which is
Well-
what I wanted earlier.
Well, actually, I'm going to put it back on. 'Cause I'm kind of glad about that because I can take this, this piece right here. I can take this to Japan,
Right. And apply it.
and go, okay, here you go, dude. Now make your, or take it, take it to India, and
Yep.
like, ma'am, what's your character going to be?
Right.
And they don't have that
That's true.
with that. I
That's
really
very
like
true.
that. I really like that about there not being defined
Yeah.
underneath human.
That's true.
And look, that really can apply to any of the races that are picked in here.
Yeah.
But for the human in the D&D world, that's one of his biggest strengths. And I realize that's more on the RP side.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's, I think it's a strength.
You get to ask your player, where are you from?
Yes.
In a way that you don't, like, if you I'm trying not to steer us into homebrew right away, but if you were making a homebrew world, you know where the dwarves live, right?
Yes.
Unless you have made it a civil society where everybody's together, you know
Right.
where the dwarves live, you know where the elves live.
Yes.
But then you get to go to the human player, where are you from?
Yes.
And the human player can go, well, where do I get to be from?
Yeah.
And here's a bunch of major cities in the world. you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's, that works with that's true for the modules.
Mm-hmm.
You made if you're staying strict Forgotten Realms or
Yeah.
strict if whatever or even homebrew as you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're on to the classes.
Yeah.
All right,
I know which one it starts with.
all right. So first one up is Bard.
Yeah. So I don't know how you want to do this exactly, but my first thought was,
I may
if
not
I'm
want to
gonna-
respond.
if I'm going to play a bard, I'm going to go human or elf. I think halfling or dwarf would be hilarious, but I'm going to go human or elf.
Yeah. Why?
The main reason being that elves, I feel like their culture, and this could be my own homebrew bleeding in.
Right.
They're long lived. So my thought is that high elves or wood elves would put a heavy emphasis on music.
It's true. It's true.
Because culture, right?
Yeah.
The arts.
Yeah.
And then humans love to party.
That's true.
So
That's very true.
I'm going bard, human elf.
I don't know. There's something in my mind that it's like, I got to play Bard. Oh, okay, I'm gonna be a halfling.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just that
I think it'd be
possibly a gnome.
hilarious.
Possibly a gnome.
Oh yeah.
There's a player in the Monday night. He's a gnome bard. But yeah, probably a halfling do that. But we do with the free stuff you get
Yeah.
under all the stuff. but we're not going to go too deep into this.
Right.
It's kind of our thoughts on this.
Yeah, we want to do whole episodes on the classes at some point.
Right, and I also want to give y'all a chance to explore, because we're going to kind of give you our opinions on it, and I hope you go and look, read, and see it with different eyes.
Right.
And then come back and tell us where we're wrong.
Do you know what my pick would be for Bard if I got to pick from any race? So this is off the wall. Not available in 5e right now. I want to make sure that's clear.
Okay.
I would go 4th edition, Shardmind Bard, who plays the instruments with their body. They've punched holes in their crystal body and they dance to play music, where the wind blows through the holes in their crystal body.
If I play Bard, and they're like, hey, you can pick any race. You got to play Bard. You can pick any race. I'm gonna go Changeling.
That's fair. Yeah, it's a good choice.
Yeah, I think that would be fun.
A Warforged Bard that doesn't understand music would be hilarious.
You know, in Sunday flashbacks there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Bard that's just over there going, vicious mockery.
Nobody likes your mother's meatloaf.
Right.
Okay, under Bard you get two choices. You get College of Lore, College of Valor.
Okay. I would probably go College of Lore.
Yeah.
I like the idea of I'm going to recount big historical events and big important events in song.
Yes.
I think that thematically is super cool and leans into, again, if we go with my elf bard, it leans into our history is long. I'm going to remember it. You know, there's in the Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah.
There's a race called the Singers.
Right.
And one thing that they do is they retain their history in song instead of in spoken word.
So I think that would be my college too. If I pick out of those two, I still go with the Halfling.
Right.
It's because our life isn't long; it must be sung.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was
cool, but lore thematically is way cooler to me.
Well, I'm going through when you read College of Lore, and at least for me, with the stuff I read, and just the cliche, generic kind of stuff, which it's not necessarily bad.
Right, absolutely. Frodo with the 9 fingers and the Ring of Doom, after all.
Right. But I've kind of got the College of Lore in my head. Like things popped in my head. The Rooster from Robin Hood.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'd be College of Lore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. College of Valor.
Man, when we do a full class breakdown episode for each class, we have to do what are examples of this in fiction.
Okay.
100%. You have made me want to do that so bad.
I can't. And I'm trying to think of something for the College of Valor, and then really coming to mind.
Blade Singer. That's a thing too.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
We'll get to there eventually.
I can't. I can think. I can make some stretches through history.
Yeah.
I think David from the Bible.
Yeah.
King David. Might kind of fit underneath
College
that.
of Valor. I could see it.
But I'm really trying to. I'm going to say it wrong. But get the. I read those a couple years ago. I'm waiting on the other one to come out.
I have no idea what
I
you're
know
right
it's The Name of the Wind.
Oh, Kvoth. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Vetch was in my head.
Yeah.
Kvetc. I probably just cussed somebody in Poland. I'm sorry. Him maybe.
Yeah, I can see it.
Because he's got the, he's got the skills to pay the bills on the lute, and even if he breaks a string, I don't know. Is he full of crap? I want the third anyway.
Maybe the thing.
I love the character. College. There's quite a few characters. That's a good. I enjoy.
My question would be, does this include? Because I know it technically doesn't, right? Because there's already Blade Singer. But would you include a blade dancer in College of Valor? Because that's a thing that used to be done a lot with blade dancing.
Yeah, I think so.
I could see it, and especially if they then dedicated that to actual battle as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. I still go College of Lore.
Okay.
So.
I would too.
All right. Next up, we have Cleric.
Okay. Yeah. Cleric. And I believe it's life domain and
Come on.
I just looked at it earlier. It's life and it's not life and death, brain, despite what you just thought.
Oh no. I can't even find it.
It's life
Divided by
and I don't remember the other one. I'm trying really hard.
War.
Life and war. Okay.
Yes.
Cleric is like one of those classes that if you had asked me years ago if it was like the user-friendly class, I would have said yeah. But now I'm not so sure. It's become a lot more complex over the years.
I agree. Yeah.
I think it's still really solid. And I think you could take a new player and give them Cleric and they would be able to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I'd recommend... We didn't say this with Bard. I definitely wouldn't recommend Bard to a new player.
No, I definitely wouldn't recommend Bard.
Well, you wouldn't recommend it anyway. But Bard is like an intermediate, like to me. You play a campaign and then try Bard.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Cleric too, maybe.
Well, okay. See, that's right. One, for the life domain,
right.
even or war, a dwarf would be great.
Yes, absolutely.
They just fit.
Yeah. 100%.
We got a friend that plays that.
Mm-hmm.
He's the healer for the group.
Yep.
And
he's dang good at it too.
Oh man, I'm telling you.
I could see a human cleric.
Yes.
Obviously, I mean, human can fit into anything, but I could see you going human cleric and going like, "Hey, I'm an acolyte of this big temple.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to get by in the world. I'm not anybody super popular or impressive yet, but
I was writing a one shot that I never got to run. It was set in modern day.
Okay.
In kind of an alternate world.
Yeah.
There were no guns.
Okay.
Hence, therefore, you didn't have to worry about it. People had sticks,
right,
knives, swords, like that. But there's a group of dark clerics, and they were televangelists.
Okay.
In this world.
Nice.
And then there was like these other clerics that were kind of like hidden small throughout.
Right.
The heroes, if you could make it there, you could get healing and thing. But if you get caught, on here, you're gonna have to. Yeah, it was kind of Cleric's a cool class with the two in here. I'm very happy with.
Yeah,
because life is when people think cleric,
that's what they think
of. And the war cleric, it gives a good, nice opposite side of that and shows the difference side of that. So I really think this underneath cleric, I think it's got the two best from what I've looked at, the two best subclasses.
I think cleric is so interesting too in the D&D world, even though again we're using Forgotten Realms in most of 5e,
right?
Because of how many gods there are.
Yes.
So you don't have to just be generic cleric.
True.
You can be whatever.
Yes.
I want to be a cleric of Coralon. I want to focus instead of healing. I want to focus on magic.
Right. And then you've got
sick magic.
Shamash is Dragonlance, isn't it? Okay, yeah. But even still, same concept.
Yeah.
God of Death.
Yep.
And be fun with that. I like the, and that would actually be a really fun campaign to run. Two brother clerics.
Yeah.
A life and war.
Yeah. One who's sworn to heal and keep up the sanctity of life, and one who's sworn to wreck face.
That's not exactly right. He's there also to remember that it's the common man that gets dragged to war.
That's right.
And though he must stand and fight, he needs representation.
That's right. And his representation is a punch to the face.
Yes.
With a gauntleted fist.
Yeah, pumps him up, getting ready for battle.
Yeah.
Now,
clerics are really stout, too. Like, between their own personal healing and the ability to, especially at higher levels, life clerics specifically, being able to heal themselves while healing other people.
Yeah.
Like, they're really sustained.
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, it's nice having... It's really hard. Y'all have almost died in the campaign. I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to kill y'all. I'm trying to create a challenge.
We've made some dumb mistakes, too.
But
we've only blown up 4 times.
There's a balance there. I'm like, it's like, okay, I can start swinging as a DM.
Yeah.
Because there's a life cleric there, and the difference between there's a lot of healers in D&D.
Yes.
There's no healers like a life cleric.
That's right.
And I think this is one of the times that D&D has got that kind of balance as far as that goes. Definitely give
you don't get to do as much damage, but you will keep your party alive.
Yes. All right, the next class,
Mm-hmm.
pretty straight up, fighter.
Yeah, I love fighter. I think that I've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Fighter is my favorite class.
Yeah,
It's
not,
great.
It's not. It is not my favorite, but is one I always know I'll have fun with.
Yes.
Always know. I did because, like, okay. One of the problems here when we're talking about characters,
Right.
please keep in mind you're talking to two DMs,
Mm-hmm.
or we play. Also, the DM side of it, but when we do get to play, usually we will keep it simple.
Right.
So you'll usually find the simplest characters, not maybe not backstory wise,
Right.
but as far as written out, looking on paper, it's like, no, have I got everything I need? Okay, they can have everything else.
Yep. I don't need to worry about spells.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about stat blocks.
Yeah.
All I have to worry about is my job's to hit that thing real
Right.
hard.
Did I get 20 gold out of that? They can keep the rest. I don't care.
Yeah, fighters to me are just like this pristine class. And I'm gonna put fighter up on a huge pedestal here. But it's like this pristine class of anything you want. A fighter can do it.
Which is, I understand why they did it, but I'm actually a little disappointed in the fighter subclasses. The champion, fine.
Yes.
Champion, fine. And that's, to me, that's almost like tongue in cheek.
Yes, I agree.
D&D class.
That's the most basic fighter.
That is, and that is.
You can have some good fun with it.
Oh, absolutely. Playing it up. Look, especially when you get to cheer on a 19 or a 20.
Yep.
You know, there's a little bit, 10% chance to crit instead of 5. Eldritch Knight. I don't think that needs to be in this set.
Agree. I think Eldritch Knight being in Essentials is really weird, especially when you could have put Battlemaster in there, which is like superiority dice, really cool.
Yeah. Because you got the champion at basic level.
Right.
Right. And I think the Battlemaster is that intermediate.
Yes.
Going through that. I don't think the Eldritch Knight fits in with what they're trying to do with this.
I agree.
Because you've got anyway. Go ahead.
I love Eldritch Knight. I think it's a great subclass.
It's a cool
but
class.
I don't think it's right for this book.
No.
It's the closest thing to multi-classing in this book, and it feels really odd to me.
It feels
that
it does.
it's in there.
It feels shoved in just to give. I don't think the fighter needed a magic part in this. If give me a couple of fighter classes.
This is
I honestly, going through the list, just about any other fighter class I think would have fit in better.
I agree. I would have maybe even considered putting Arcane Archer in there instead.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But
I'm a fan of Arcane Archer though, which really should be a ranger. But that's another conversation.
We'll talk about ranger one day. I think for fighters, I'm gonna have human, obviously.
Yeah.
It's the fits any role. What weapon do I want to use? Whatever weapon, right? I want to use a halberd. I want to use an axe. I want to use a sword.
Yeah.
I want to use a bow. I want to use a dagger. I want to use 2 daggers. I want to use a buckler. I want to use 2 great shields.
What armor do I want to wear?
Any.
Yeah.
All.
Yeah.
It's the perfect mix, in my opinion. When you get a human fighter, you can do anything.
Yeah. Like I said, I wish.
Literally.
I'd have taken the Eldritch Knight out. I think that any other class would work better.
Yeah.
For this setup.
Yeah.
Because you're almost perfect in so many ways if you take one of, if you have 4 players.
Yeah.
You got 4 races, 4 classes, 1 of each.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever which way they're mixed matched.
Right.
Through that, the Eldritch Knight did not fit.
I agree.
And I realize that. Okay. Moving on.
Yep.
The rogue.
So, I love rogues.
Yes. Rogues are probably my favorite.
Rogues are really cool.
Yeah.
I think that of the races that we have in this book, I would go halfling or elf for rogue.
Me too. If I'm doing if I'm gonna be Bilbo Baggins, because they can be, there's nothing wrong with that. Just have fun with the game.
Yeah.
Change the name.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Change the name.
Your Silbo Saggins.
Yeah.
Now.
No, just call me Limbo.
I'm going old elf. I'm going a 900-year-old elf that is trying to spice up his life again.
Yeah.
And is taking up theft to try and fill that void of I want to feel alive again, so I'm going to steal things from people.
I think that would be a fun character to play.
Yeah.
I think the other end of that would be fun to play though. Just you're an elf.
Yeah.
You know how people look at you.
Yeah.
Elves aren't supposed to steal things.
Right.
Makes it that much easier. Don't do that. So, but under the archetypes under Roger.
Roger. That's gonna be my next character name.
No. We have Thief. Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Arcane
Very,
Trickster, not so much. Once again, it has the same problem for me
Yes.
as Arcane Trickster is an awesome class.
It's so good.
They're so good, especially when you get high levels.
Yeah, you give Rogue access to Mage Hand.
Yes. But for me, it's like the Eldritch Knight.
Be in this book.
I don't think so.
It's so close to multi-classing. It shouldn't be in the book.
Spy.
Yeah.
Swashbuckler.
Swashbuckler would be really cool to see in the book.
Is that fighter? Is that?
I'm pretty sure it's Rogue.
Okay. Okay. Good.
I can double check.
Good. Yeah, please. I think that if I remember, second edition seeps into my brain,
right?
And I can't figure it out. And it was a Rogue in second edition.
Yeah, let me double check, because as we know, I have the D&D Beyond on this phone that is just the basic version.
Yes.
So when I pull it up, it will be that. I spelled swashbuckler wrong, but I'm not going to tell you how. It's Rogue.
I don't. Okay. And like I said, I just don't think this underneath this archetype doesn't need magic.
I agree. Even though, again, as we said, it's good.
Yeah, it's a great class, but this is our good and bad and ugly on the beginner rules, these free rules, and once again you can maybe you have no problem with it and it rolls perfectly for your world. Maybe every rogue in your world's an Arcane Trickster.
Yeah,
so it's just us looking at it as from the basics.
Yeah.
And what we'd like to see.
I want to see a campaign that's like a high magic campaign where every class can only take magical subclasses.
Yeah.
Because the entire world is so inundated with magic that, if you're a fighter, you're an Eldritch Knight.
Yes.
If you're a rogue, you're an Arcane Trickster.
Yes. That'd be cool.
If you're a barbarian, you're a wild magic barbarian.
And we all got the wild dice rolling around the table.
That'd be nuts.
And the last one is the Wizard.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Black Sabbath songs. I'm
going High Elf for sure.
Metagaming right there, buddy. Right there.
No, I love Wizard. I think Wizard fills the controller slot that has been lost in a lot of newer D&D.
Okay.
Because
I can see that.
Newer D&D has kind of become bash it or blast it,
Yeah.
Especially Warlock and Sorcerer. There's so little control now. I mean, don't get me wrong, Everard's Black Tentacles. I think that's what that spell's called.
Well, you
got
controls. Well, you got that one. You got Force Wall. The cage. There's a few on there. Of course, Wizard.
Right.
Wizard spells.
But Wizard, I feel like, has more of control than the other two.
Yes. Well, and when you look at because you get Arcane Traditions.
Right.
That's your two subclasses. And it's the
Evocation, Transmutation.
That's it. Yeah. And it's a good spell list.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with the spell list that's in here. As you look through it, it covers some really cool. You got your Featherfall,
right,
and some stuff to make you think. Silent Image, some stuff to help out. Blur. You can. And I think this. You leave that to let the Wizard do that. That's why you don't need the Eldritch Knight. You don't need the. I think that's a good.
I'm just gonna throw this out here too. If you're playing Wizard and you can take Grease, and you don't take Grease, I'm ashamed of you. You need to take Grease. You have no idea how useful Grease is until you try it. Grease is one of the best spells in the whole game.
It's a pretty good. You get third. It goes up to third level to spell magic. That's not for those who haven't played. It's not. I don't be confused. That's not your third level of your character. That's your third level casting.
Yeah, we need to have a full conversation on that at some point.
Yeah,
how confusing that is for people.
Yeah, I think they could have used different language for that. And clear it up.
I do want to say too, Wizard is not beginner or intermediate really. I think Wizard's like that's a tough class to learn first time playing.
To do it right.
Yeah.
To do it right is especially when you start casting those third level spells because you got haste.
Yep.
And you need to start deciding. You can't fireball everything.
Right.
Lightning bolt's great. Sometimes it's just you haste your frenzy barbarian.
Yes.
And concentrate on it and let him go.
Yeah.
Wizards an interesting class. Wizards can get misused.
Yeah.
And wizards can become OP.
I don't like playing wizard anymore because, like you mentioned earlier, as a DM, I have to deal. There's this thing where bad guys wind up being magical casters most of the time. Your big bads, right?
Well, that's kind of a necessity.
Yeah, because you need to be able to balance it out.
Yeah.
And
Because by that time, just punching people is not going to work.
Right. So by the time you get to that point in the campaign, I'm already playing a caster, you know? So when I get to play a character, I don't want to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But there's something about the beauty of a wizard where you don't have to go, hey, I want to do the most damage. You can go instead, I want to play around with a battlefield.
Yeah.
I want to mess with stuff.
Yeah. I want to give us the biggest chance to win.
Right. As compared to just, I cast Fireball.
Right. Rain of fire.
Don't get me wrong. It's very satisfying when you land a good Fireball.
It is. It's one of my favorite. You used to read this comic, LF Looking for Group.
Mm-hmm.
Really good. But yeah.
I like Wizard a lot. I think that Wizard, for a new player, you need to be aware it's a tough class to play.
It is. Spells.
You're very squishy.
Yeah, you're very squishy, and spells. Sometimes the wording's not great, and sometimes it's hard to come up with better wording. I'm not lying. It's
yeah.
I'm not just gonna
it's not all on Wizards there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna poo on the editors constantly.
Also, I feel like we ought to talk about, and I know we're gonna have a whole episode on Wizards at some point anyway, but I feel like we ought to talk about if you're using a spell book, your gold's not going to get magic items. Your gold's going to buy paper and ink. You got to add pages to that spell book.
Yeah. The
everybody else is buying cool weapons at Harvard, and you're over there buying paper.
Yeah, and unless it's like a high magic world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that makes a little bit of a difference.
Absolutely.
Through that. But yeah, most of the time if you're playing to the rules wizard, you're over there stocking up on components and.
The benefit of that though is you have an entire spell book.
Yeah,
you can cast basically whatever you want as long as you got the slots for it.
Yeah,
you don't have to prepare stuff like everybody else does. You just have your book.
Right. Flip it open. Well, I honestly though I like the way the so-called divine magic works.
Yeah,
your druid cleric.
Mm-hmm.
That feels more comfortable in the game world to me.
I agree.
But then, the wizard is a different thing.
Right.
That arcane, it's like, I don't want to say the other side of magic, but in D&D it almost is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it works differently, or it should.
Right.
And the wizard's approach to it with like I said, if you're playing to the rules and you're trying to get all up, you're you can see why the mad scientist type wizard is almost like. Cliche with it, it gets to that point. And I've seen players get to that point when they're playing a wizard.
Absolutely.
When you start getting up and you've got an abundance of spells at 8th level, and there's only so many you can cast.
Yeah. What am I going to do? Am I going to cast Misty Step or am I going to cast Chain Lightning?
Yeah.
I'm going to cast Chain Lightning.
Yeah. and then something go wrong with that, and I need to leave, and I can't because I can't Misty Step.
Yeah. Just don't disintegrate when your allies have been eaten by a purple worm.
Right.
That's one of those horror stories that I don't know where it came from, but like everybody knows it.
It just sounds awful, man. They may not understand that exact reference, but they understand that situation.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to touch on because we've gone that went a little bit longer than I thought it would.
Sure.
Of course, if we'd actually talked about that, then it might not have been that long.
Right.
I do want to touch on and get in. We don't have to get into too deep right now, but the idea of world building.
Yeah.
And just I kind of get some like where do you start?
Okay.
Or if you're going to build a world, we're going to start fresh. New chapter right here. Where do you start?
I start with a core idea.
Right.
So I'll talk about one of my worlds, I suppose.
No, make one up now.
Make one up. Okay, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I'll see what I can do.
I'm going to go with the entire world flooded, and the floodwaters never receded, and everybody had to move underwater.
Okay, I have a world like that actually. It's kind of funny because I think about it the other day, and it's not everybody's middle word, but instead of land, there's just these massive ships.
Okay,
or maybe one. So definitely that's a good Okay, that's a good start. So you got that.
Yeah.
So you're going underwater with
it.
Since we came up with the theme, and that was one I was already thinking about.
Right.
I'll stay on the ships.
Very cool.
You'll build the underwater. So in your world, that's a water world. Underneath, What do you got?
So for that to work, obviously we need domes, or
Okay.
we need magic to be able to create livable space underwater, or everything has to be able to breathe underwater. We have to decide right now, either whole civilization built underwater, or I'm killing all the main races and we're having an underwater only campaign. That's the two
Yeah.
options, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the first because it's more world building friendly.
Yeah.
Because the second one is just, well, you're all Tritons now. But yeah, so how is that going to work? Well, obviously the dwarves want to survive. They're going to tunnel down.
Yeah.
They're gonna build a stoppered off area underground
Nice.
where water is everywhere around it, but they have created glass shields
Right.
basically that will allow them to see through domes.
Yeah.
The rest of the entire world finds out they're doing this and barters to get those glass shields
Right.
so that they can create their own domes underwater.
I want to say transparent aluminum. So
Right.
right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then the dwarves become super rich because
Right.
they're the
yeah.
only ones making this.
Yeah.
So then it becomes an elite society where the dwarves are at the highest point. They are the richest.
Right.
And everybody else is just trying to scrape by now. And what happens from there? You know, how does it unravel?
Okay.
And I rolled down the hill
Yeah, just go
basically
through
at that
that.
point.
Okay.
You know?
I like that world. I like that. I'll say that the dwarves kind of take it a step up, ingenuity, access to making that glass.
Mm.
I can see that. Of course, the Tritons wouldn't need it.
Right.
Maybe that's their arch enemies. I don't know
Could be.
on that. You know. Okay, so mine's on ships.
Right.
The massive ship. There's like one. It was really kind of like one kind of civilization. Now it's got the different races in there because it's where everybody kind of ends
Yeah,
up.
everybody rushed to get there.
This is basically an arc,
Right.
right? This big one, but there's a lot of smaller ones. Some of them are, you know, friendly. Some of them aren't.
Right.
And it's a mad world because, you know, well, if you like fish, it's okay.
Right.
But there's still resources are in short supply.
Yeah.
So there's a hierarchy on the ship, and you have to go. You take your turn in each step of it as you go through.
Cool.
And like where I would want to start the campaign, I'm
Right.
like, okay, they've already made it to the second level. They've spent the last, couple years or whatever, bottom level,
Right.
cleaning up, fixing patches, keeping it going. Now they're on second level defense.
Right.
Now there's a reason for them to become adventurers.
Yeah.
And then I
Absolutely.
would kind of build up that world from that way.
Yeah.
Now it'd still be, obviously, you would still have above water dangers.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
might be faced, and I'd still have waters.
Yeah.
It's not strictly.
Well, that's what I
on
was
the
just thinking
surface.
about in my crazy bubble world underwater. The orcs would not have been able to get underwater, so
Okay.
they would have like rafts,
Okay.
a raft set up for a
Yeah.
village above water.
Yeah, exactly.
The lizard men would probably have like a steel plate or something that they had robbed, and their whole society is on that, which would
Yeah.
be perfect for them because it would warm up in the
Right.
sunlight.
Yes.
I think the big thing to remember when you want to world build is start with that core premise
Yeah.
and then ask, well, if this, then what?
Right.
And from there, everything just flows.
Okay. Give it to you from a different, because honestly, we're just making this up, and,
Right.
and it's a lot of fun when you have somebody kind of bounce off with. And we kind of
Yeah.
went two different worlds with the same core premise. Well, I didn't really intend to do that, but I thought it was funny that was
Yeah,
where
it's
he
perfect.
went with it. Talk a little bit about this, because you can go deep, right?
Oh,
You were
yeah.
talking about making currency for one.
Oh, yeah.
To that, and you can keep it simple and still go kind of deep. And I tried on my world building. I try to keep the gods basic,
Right.
not Forgotten Realms pantheon,
Right.
If it's kind of based on the Greek gods, it's going to be the ones known.
Yeah, the big ones.
The big ones, and I kind of keep stuff simple like that. What about well, no, I'm not going to bring that up because you actually talked about that's something else you got going on, and I don't want to say anything about that. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about something else, and then it came around. I was like, no, that's going to be too close. What about a different? You got to do something. You're no humans.
Right.
In fact, the 4 races that we've got.
Okay.
4 races that we've got.
Yeah.
That's not the race that's going to be there. We're going to use those and make 4 races.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you go first.
I'm going to use those and make 4 races.
Yeah. So you got dwarf,
human, elf, and halfling.
Yes.
And I can't just do Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I would probably do my core idea would be generic fantasy.
Okay.
Mostly because that's easy and I'm on the spot.
Okay.
Generic fantasy world. I'm gonna do. I get to pick between those 4, but I can't use all 4.
No. Hold on. I'll start.
Okay.
I think I might have phrased it wrong. I'll start. So there's not going to be any of those 4 races there. None of them.
Okay. I got you.
So in place of the dwarfs, I'm going to give. I'm going to go with that. This is kind of a race, indie, but I'm going to go with kind of a turtle form.
Okay.
Just tough little creatures.
Sure.
You know,
I see what you're saying now.
Yeah. So I'm going. I think I'm going to kind of stick with creatures, just kind of make it a theme on that, kind of keep it easy. So for the halflings, you rabbit.
Yeah.
Or maybe on that, I think for the elves, we'll do some kind of bird, maybe, or a what could be good for the elves?
Storks would be really cool.
I think so.
Like a heron or a stork.
Yeah, something like that. And then maybe for the human, primate would be an easy pick. But you know what, canine.
Yeah, sure.
Basically, canines with thumbs. You stand up straight. You have a dog's head.
Yeah, absolutely.
That kind of canine thing. So that kind of because I think you can do that and make your own world. You could do. With those 4, you could do elements.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you wanted to.
Absolutely.
I automatically jumped to dwarf rock. But,
right.
And then got to go through it like that.
Very true. Okay, yeah. I'm going to go instead then with, I'm going to take pre-existing races and I'm going to sub them in for those 4 in a fantasy world.
Okay.
So I'm going to stick with my generic fantasy and it's going to be orc miners.
Okay.
Instead of dwarves.
Gotcha.
The orcs are the stout miners in this world. They're accepted, obviously. They're trading in metals, the iron and the steel that people need. And so, obviously.
Right.
Things going great there. I would replace the elves with tieflings.
Okay.
Instead of regular forests, they live in infernal forests. All the trees are red, Because of that, all the houses are going to be red as well, that are made out of wood. All the forts and structures and things like that, towers.
Yes.
But yeah, they're not having to fight for their rights in society anymore. Nobody's mistrusting them.
They're not rare. They
right.
wouldn't be rare there.
They're all over the place.
Gotcha.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to replace the halflings with shifters.
Okay.
I think that shifters fit that same role of like short people, kind of, because shifters are kind of short, that live out in the middle of nowhere, but for what it's worth, shifter cultures are a little bit more reserved, but I feel like in this world,
no, I see that. They want they want the same thing. Just we want to live here and be left alone.
We'll live our way.
Yeah, live our way and be left alone.
You come through, you can get some good ale from them that maybe has a little bit of dirt in it, and then I'm going to replace the humans with Warforged. Because my grand reveal at the end of this is that the Warforged wiped out the humans a long time ago, and they built their society on top of human society. The orcs killed all the dwarves and claimed their mines, and now they live there.
Gotcha.
The tieflings burned down all the elven forests, and they replanted their own there, And it's been thousands of years, so it's had time to grow up. And the shifters claimed, I guess the shifters didn't have to kill the halflings, but they claimed the halflings' land.
After they were just wiped out
after
in war.
The Warforged killed everything.
But,
with this reveal of slow build over the course of the campaign, where it seems normal, because it is normal at this point in that world.
Right.
And then finding clues of, this axe that this orc is using has a dwarven insignia on it. That's really weird.
Well, this it's kind of funny. 'Cause I was like, how do we really have? It's hard to have a conversation about world building because it just kind of goes.
Yeah.
And that maybe you're just doing on it. Now, I will try to give a couple steps in.
Right.
That maybe will help for somebody that's like, I really don't even know where to start with it.
Right. Absolutely.
Start with a town and its surrounding area. I think
you can honestly, you can cheat. Start with just that.
Yes.
Put the players in there and grow
go from
it
there.
as it goes.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, definitely.
I have done that more than once.
I've done that a couple times. The past few I've ran, I've had the full map mostly done by the time we started running it. But then again, like I said, one of the problems that we're gonna have is it's been a long time since we've been new to this.
Yeah, that's very true.
And look, if you there's just so much inspiration. If you have comic books, you can build a comic book world.
Yeah.
I'm looking over there at Narnia. I can see that, the Iliad.
Yep.
I'm looking on my bookshelves. There's just...
You can run a campaign in anything.
Yeah.
Like, you can take Gundam and make a campaign out of Gundam.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can
instead of using... use the classes for the suits.
Yep.
Or the races for the suits.
Yep.
Or so that's how the hit points and stuff done out. Yeah, that would be good. With that, the people would be, hardly have it, we wouldn't have any stats or anything.
Right.
Maybe just some hit points or
you can punch.
Yeah, but use the stats given for the classes and races for the Gundam suits. That'd be cool.
Yeah, lasers instead of magic.
Like I know you just want to say upper nutter and lower nutter. In the
I
campaign.
do. I was trying to find a way to work it in. The Babu's great.
There was a part. Campaign. There was a part where I was going to say that on a Sunday night campaign. I had it worked out, and the route that y'all ended up taking, the way the campaign went, it went around it.
Are you telling me we missed the upper nutter and the under nutter?
Well,
the lower nutter.
It was I decided not to use it in this campaign.
Right. You're saving it to surprise me. I understand.
No, but I had a shaggy like character.
Right.
That because bacon's a big deal.
Yes.
All right. So I was trying to add peanut butter in on this.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So at a nut farm, this shaggy ass, Scooby Doo shaggy ass character. Man, oh man, it's the upper nutter, man. It's the lower nutter.
I love it.
Put it together, man. We get peanut butter.
I love it.
On that, but yeah, it didn't. It's
a shame it didn't work out. I understand though.
Yeah.
I try to hide a lot of references in my worlds, and then when my players don't get them, I get sad.
Well, I don't. I try to if I will do that, but I would do my. It's gonna fit.
Yeah.
It has to fit in the conversation. Does it go there? And then if nobody else gets it, that's fine. I'm not gonna do it very often.
Right.
And I'm okay because every once in a while somebody is.
Yeah.
And you'll either hear somebody bust out laughing or you're just going to glare across the table.
Yeah.
Really? What's that?
World building's fun.
It is. And it gets, like I said, there's start where you want to start.
Yeah.
You want to make it super easy on yourself as a DM, as you're learning this, and you don't want to worry about so much, hey, will y'all take it easy on me as a DM this first time through?
Right.
Just humans, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's,
I'm working on a one-shot right now.
Yeah.
It's set in space to make it easy because I have new players that have never played before. I said, hey, you can go human or warforged because we're in space. There's robots.
That's cool.
But human or warforged, that's it.
Yeah. Man. See, now my brain's kind of running through just like all the different, all the different stuff. Are you a classic literature nerd? I mean,
right.
You like Charles Dickens. You
right.
You can do this in the Victorian era.
Mm-hmm.
You can set. That's why it's like talking about world building.
Yeah.
It's like I guess we could dedicate like one episode to it. Like yes,
we probably should at some point.
We should at some point, but seriously, it's really hard for me.
Yeah, it is
because it just kind of goes once you start going.
The hardest part is that first step, and once you get over it, it just like I said earlier, it rolls.
Yeah,
you're going.
And it evolves and it changes.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it could evolve and change and become fully fledged before your players start.
Yeah,
or like I said, you go Zoroastrian type religion. You have a good guy, a bad guy. And there's a balance. Your characters start out on a farm.
Yeah.
There's 6 NPCs you have to worry about as a DM.
Right.
And the first few levels are protecting the farm.
Yeah.
And you get name what you want and start from there. You don't have to have the whole world built.
Absolutely.
And, about 5th or 6th level, man, you're gonna have this game down. I really think so.
That's where I think too that like for all the problems that I have with 5e, that's where it shines.
Yeah,
I can make anything in 5e.
Well, I find, and I laugh at us a little bit, because our complaints are based on a higher expectation.
Yeah.
Of rules and the kind of a little more strict. Especially. I don't know. We could maybe get into it sometime. All the different role playing games that we have played across both of them.
Yeah.
And some of them are very deep.
Oh yeah.
Get
into Pathfinder.
Yeah, Pathfinder. Well, Palladium.
Mm-hmm.
And you got the systems built off that. Rifts being one of those.
Ryan, have I told you about this RPG
system
called Mouse Guard?
Yes. Yeah. I've been waiting for it. I started mentioning it 3 times.
I almost said a mouse earlier when you said a dog.
Well, see, I was expecting you. We were talking about world building, and it never came up. I was like, okay, because you were going to say that, and I was going to go. And if you, it just, you could do Secrets of Nim.
Yeah.
You know
how some YouTubers do that? If you're watching this, and if you're still watching, type this in the chat.
Yeah.
In the comment section. If you're still watching this podcast, type Mouse Guard.
Okay. Awesome. Absolutely awesome.
World building's great.
I don't know. Yeah. I hope y'all got something out of this as going, because I don't want to take it too far, because I can take Volcano World.
Yeah.
Can
Dragonborn.
Yeah. I got 4. You're 4 dragon. There's a red, and there is a red dragon, and you got your gold dragon. Okay, and then the silver dragon survived.
Right.
And then the silver or bronze would be more neutral.
Yeah,
in the
probably
conflict.
bronze.
And the bronze, take a neutral stance. Then you got the dragon wards, and then I would do. Let's see, the red dragon. I think I would just. I think I'd give them the dwarf.
Genasi could work really good in that.
Oh man, you could do
too, yeah.
Well, we talked about it, an elemental campaign, a Genasi setup.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to get the Genasi, rules and everything. If you don't have them, then you can go off this,
right,
and reskin. Golly, that's what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah,
you just space, a jungle campaign. What do you have in the jungle?
How about shifters earlier?
The shifters.
How about shifters campaign in there?
Shifters, Tabaxi.
Yep.
The cat people, the lizard folk.
Yeah.
Great jungle
finally
campaign.
Play Slizzy the Wizzy.
Yeah. Well, there goes that idea. Not ruining that. All right. I'm trying to think of anything else. Any other little hot tip? Kind of.
Oh, real quick. Steal any of that you want to steal. If one of those ideas sounds great to you, take it.
Yeah.
Take it.
Right.
We're not going to come to your house and be like, hey, what are you doing using our idea?
No.
Take it.
No. And
any one of those.
And if you really need help, and we will build a world on one episode, just start thinking instead of just shooting back and forth.
Yeah.
That will fit and be totally playable just using the free rules. I think we can do that.
I think so
too. I think we can do it live. I think we can come up. I'll get up. I'll make sure I'll have pencil. Maybe not next week.
Right.
Next week. Actually, I think I'll talk about maybe some spells for the free spells.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good.
Kind of go over that.
What should you take? What should you avoid?
Yeah.
What maybe do you not ever hear people talk about, but it's really good in the free stuff?
Yeah. And how to I kind of dedicate it just to magic, because I don't want, because magic can easily just become, like you say, just fireball.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to it.
Yeah, and I feel like, again, for new players and for new DMs, somebody just giving a rundown of, hey, this is how spell slots work, honestly. This is when you get them back. This is what it means that the spell is this level.
Yeah.
I think that's a very important discussion to have.
Yeah. So
for people that have been playing for a long time, it may be boring, but...
Well, let me just kind of go over opinion of the spells maybe next week, and then start looking at mechanics.
Yeah.
The week after that. And... because we've kind of done that sparsely, and I'm sure people will be arguing like, we should have done that first off. You're going to get people playing, And yeah, there might be some validity to that.
If
But
you get too dug into the weeds at the start,
yeah,
you're not going to want to see the sky above.
right.
You know?
And
To quote Sun Tzu.
I don't want it to be. Well, I don't want to be limiting anybody.
Oh, that dumb joke only made me laugh, but I'm glad that it did. No, I agree with you. I think that like now that we have a base set, we can begin getting into the weeds, into the mechanic of it.
Yeah. Okay. I think that'd be our setup. And look, we will gladly change that if you want to hear about something else.
Yeah.
Just let us know in the comments.
If you say, "Hey, this is very important," before, after next week's podcast, within days after it goes up on Friday, I have a game and I need to know how to play Artificer. Then hey, we got you. We'll talk about Artificer.
Yeah.
Just let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, it would be great. Also, if you would like, you can get in on the Discord for $1 a month.
Or on the Patreon. It's in the description.
I'm going to be linked up to that, and you can ask questions there. If you don't want it out in the public in YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll actually have access to a few more opinions there, both player side and DM side. Anything else to cover tonight, sir?
Not that I can think of. I guess I'll give the outro then.
I think so. I kind of enjoyed it. Kind of wrapped up. Last thing, this was all our opinions on stuff, and honestly, it's free.
Yeah.
So tell you what, if you come up with a quick core world idea, as well as you're watching this, put it down.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the comments, and just see what comes through. Where people would like to start.
Maybe you'll give me a new idea that I need for my next campaign.
Exactly.
You never know.
Yeah, I know. I'm straight. Yeah, I need it. I'm running 2 campaigns. Here's this is actually me this week,
right?
Because we ran. That was a pretty intense.
Yeah.
Campaign Sunday night. Fun. Ran longer than normal sessions, but hopefully I set that up beforehand that we're going to be running long.
Oh yeah. We fought an enemy that was directly connected to my character's motivations, so I was very happy.
That's a story arc. That was cool. And then Monday night ran a campaign. So yesterday and today I was having just had a little bit of burnout.
Right.
And we'll cover that at some point in time.
Yeah.
I just want to bring it up because it happens. It's not a bad thing. It's just like
you gotta be aware.
I know, because DMing wears me out, man.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of pressure on you. I don't mean to immediately pull us down another road, but there's a lot of pressure on you where you have to be responsible not just for the monster and not just for what it's doing, not just for descriptions, but also for everybody else's fun at the table.
Yeah.
And it's very taxing. It's very rewarding.
It is.
But it's very taxing.
Yes. And it does. It is. I'm physically tired, especially after a long, like a long session.
Yeah.
It was a great fight, though. Absolutely fantastic fight.
And my character believes he killed it. There's for behind the scenes peel here, there is a running theme of my character not getting the final blow, but being crushed by the enemy with his halberd in the enemy, so he thinks he got the final blow.
That was
it's happened 3 times now.
I was talking about the campaign. We were talking about it Monday night because I was like, as a DM, I have never seen that much healing.
Yeah.
The actual amount of points.
Yes.
Y'all heal back.
I got 3 times my max HP healed over the course of that fight.
Yes. It was insane. I'll do that.
We should wrap up. We're just gonna keep going if we don't.
I know, but I'm having fun. All right.
I am too.
All right, go ahead, do it. Give the outro.
With all that said, though, I have been Trey.
I have been Ryan.
And we've been the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that D&D has to offer.